Shalom, guys. Welcome back to another episode here at Yashavi Ministry with Casa de Yarah. I thank you for being there. Like I always say, if you like the content that we have on our channel, like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them in the comment section down below. So, this week's Torah portion is Miketz. And so, we're going to continue the story of Joseph, his struggle, and his ascent to power and to second in command to Pharaoh. And so, before we do that, let's do the Torah blessing and we'll dig into a little bit of this Torah portion, okay? Baruch et Adonai Hayorah, Baruch Adonai Hayorah leolam ba'eh, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher banu mikol ha'amim venatan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Bless Adonai who is blessed, bless Adonai one of the universe who has chosen us from among the peoples, He has given us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the Torah. Amen. So, like I said, this week's Torah portion is Miketz, and it starts in chapter 41 of Bereshit, Genesis. So, let's get started. So, we see that the story of Joseph is very important. It's extremely important because it illustrates the story of one young man that was betrayed by his family, his brothers. And so, there's a lot of envy, jealousy, and obviously they are trying to get rid of it, or they got rid of their brother because of his ability to have dreams. And they interpreted these dreams and they took it upon themselves to interpret the dreams as him being over them in a negative aspect. And because they interpreted Joseph's dream in that manner, they said that he had to go. Obviously, Joseph, a young man of 17 years of age, was obviously depending and protecting and preserving his father's honor and his gods. And so he would obviously tell his father the right thing. And he would tell his father that his brothers were not behaving or doing the correct things. And because of this, Joseph is sold. And it's pretty crazy because he is sold to Ishmaelites. And then they are, he is given to Pharaoh, the second in command to Pharaoh, which will be Potiphar, a general in an Egyptian army. And so he serves him, and Adonai, God, blesses him, and he is with him because Joseph is acting upon Elohim's constant guidance. And the only way that Joseph is living according to these things is because Joseph is following the teachings of his father, and God is blessing him. The interesting part about Joseph's story is that there is no divine intervention that occurs here. Joseph goes through the struggle, right? Joseph lives a life worthy of honoring Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or Adonai, God, in this moment, in a place where chaos and idolatry, where Egypt is, where they have many gods, where Pharaoh himself believed himself to be a god. And so here Joseph is being prospered, and he is the key to unveiling what these men in Egypt couldn't understand in dreams. And so we're going to read the beginning of this Torah portion and we'll discuss it a little more, okay? Let's do it. This week's Torah portion starts the following way. Vayechi Miketz Shenatayim Yamim Pharaoh Cholem V'chine Omed Al Hayaor. And in English, it says the following. Now, it happened at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he was standing by the Nile, and lo, from the Nile there came up 7 cows, sleek, fat, and they grazed in marsh grass. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them from the Nile, ugly and gaunt, and they stood by the other cows in the bank of the Nile. The ugly and the gaunt cows ate up the 7 sleek and fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke. He fell asleep and dreamed a second time, and behold, 7 ears of grain came up on a single stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 ears, then thin, scorched by the east wind, sprouted up after them. The thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump and full ears. Then Pharaoh awoke, and behold, there was a dream. Now in the morning, his spirit was troubled. So he sent up, called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them to Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I will make mention today of my own offense. Pharaoh was furious with the servants, and he put me in confinement in the house of the captain of the bodyguard, both me and the chief baker. We had a dream on the same night. He and I, each of us, dreamt according to their interpretation of his own dream. Now a Hebrew youth who was with us there, a servant of a captain of the bodyguard, and we related them. Now a Hebrew youth was with us there, a servant of the captain of the bodyguard, and we related them to him. And he interpreted our dreams for us. To each one he interpreted according to his own dream. And just as he interpreted for us, so it happened, he restored me in my office, but he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph, and they hurried brought him out to from the dungeon. And when he had shaved himself, changed his clothes, and came to Pharaoh, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, but no one can interpret it. And I have heard it is said about you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. So we're seeing that Joseph now is about to have a turning point in his story, because as of right now, he has been subjected to a lot of negative events, right? His family betrays him. He becomes a slave before he is killed by his family, then he's sold. And now he is honored by Potiphar, one of the guards, sergeant general of the Egyptian army, and he's second in command to him. And he is lied upon by the wife of this general. And it's interesting because in the text and culturally is implied that for the offense of Joseph trying to sleep with Potiphar's wife, the continuation of that judgment would have been death. But interestingly enough, Potiphar sends him to jail, and to jail usually was for generals and officials, and in a case of royalty, they will be sent to jail and they will be there waiting for execution, judgment, etc. So we see how Potiphar and in the Sundervan and Nahum Sarna as an author himself in the Genesis history and understanding, and in the commentary for JPS, they interpret that Potiphar not only punished Joseph, but he sent him to jail mostly to separate him from his wife. And so he is there for 2 years, and now this gift of dreams that in a way has cursed him, he now is going to come and give him the opportunity that he's been looking for. And in a way, he's not only been looking for the opportunity to just do good, right? He's been trying to do the right thing. He's been trying to be obedient and fulfill his role wherever he is called upon, okay? So we see that he is shaved because he's going to be presented in front of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, as we understand, believed to be God. And so there was a certain holiness and purity that you have to come in front of him. So that's why he's being shaved. That's why he's being prepared, because he is going to give Pharaoh the answer that no magician in Egypt can. Okay, and these magicians have magical books. And it's interesting that Joseph's brothers can hear his dreams and interpret them, whether they are very subjective about it. But Pharaoh cannot interpret his own dreams, right? But the interesting thing about these dreams is that they have a lot of symbolism, and Pharaoh is missing out on the symbolism, which have the cows and everything that had to do with numbers, the 7 cows, the 7 spigs of grain. And so they are all symbolisms that Egyptians would understand once interpreted. Okay, so let's continue. Joseph then answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. Elohim, God, will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. So Pharaoh spoke to Joseph in my dream. Behold, I was standing on the bank of Nile, and behold, 7 cows, fat, sleek, came up out of the Nile, and they grazed in the marsh grass Lo, 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and gaunt, such as had never seen before, such as I had never seen for ugliness in all the land of Egypt. And the lean and ugly cows ate up the first 7 fat cows. Yet when they had devoured them, it could not be detected that they had devoured them, for they were just as ugly as before. Then I awoke. I saw also in my dream, and behold, 7 ears full of good came up on a single top. And lo, 7 ears withered with him, and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up after them. And the thin ears swallowed the 7 good ears. Then I told it to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Now Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's dreams are one and the same. God has told to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. And the 7 thin ears, scorched by the east wind, will be 7 years of famine. It is as I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. And so here, Joseph is giving Pharaoh a direct message that is understood in ancient Near Eastern literature, that not only the dream, they believe that the dreams have omens, and the dreams were messages from the gods, right? But now the emphasis on the double dreams was an emphatic statement. And so Joseph is directly saying, I am not the one who is interpreting this, right? Because obviously Pharaoh is used to men, magicians, saying, this is what we're interpreting, this is what we're saying, this is what we are implying, this is what has been revealed to me. And Joseph makes a very important statement saying, I am not the one who is revealing this to you. All right, I am just the vehicle. I'm just the messenger that is giving you the message, but I am not the one interpreting it. God is telling you what he's going to do. He's being very emphatic with 2 dreams. That means the same thing, just the context and the purpose of each dream tell you what's going to happen each year or each 7 years, okay? So let's continue. It says, behold, 7 years of great abundance are coming in the land of Egypt, and after them 7 years of famine will come, and all the abundance will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will ravage the land. So the abundance will be unknown in the land because of that of subsequent famine, for it will be very severe. Now, as for the repeating of the dream to Pharaoh twice, it means that the matter is determined by God, and God will quickly bring it about. Now, let Pharaoh look for a man discerning and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Now let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers in charge of the land, and let him exact 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of abundance. Then let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store it up in grain for food in the cities of Pharaoh's authority. So now Joseph is basically directing him in what he has to do, and this man that he has to choose will be the one that is going to be able to fulfill this. So Pharaoh makes the decision and says, can we find a man like this in whom is divine spirit? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has informed you of all this, there's no one who is so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according to your command, all my people shall do homage. Only in the throne I will be greater than you. Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took off his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen, and put the gold necklace around his neck. He had him ride in his 2nd chariot. They proclaimed before him, bow the knee, and he set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, though I am Pharaoh, yet without your permission no one shall rise his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh named Joseph Sephanat Paneah, and he gave him his Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, as his wife. And Joseph went forth over the land of Egypt. Now Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before the Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out during the 7 years of plenty, land brought forth abundantly. So he gathered all the food of these 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and placed the food in the cities, but he placed in every city a food from his own surrounding fields. Thus Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he stood measuring it, for it was beyond measure. Now we're going to jump into chapter 42, because now is where it gets interesting, because as we have been seeing, Joseph has been minimized for the ability of dreams, but the gift that was given by God to him. And this is something that is very important, because the only reason why he is given this gift is because he is able to accept the purpose. And by accepting the purpose, I mean that he's willing to obey God. And so by him obeying God, he creates this barrier of comfort that God can minister, and he can reveal himself through Joseph, because Joseph has become a vessel of God, meaning that he can represent God and God can manifest himself in Joseph, if that makes sense. And so these dreams is God speaking through Joseph, right? Joseph is giving the message, but it's God giving the message, but it's Joseph, okay? And now Joseph is giving the role of basically the second in command to God, which is Pharaoh, right? That's what he thinks. But in the minds of the people in that time, Joseph is second to God, okay? And even though Pharaoh doesn't understand that he has somebody over him, Joseph is still representing Adonai in this space where chaos and many gods and all these things, paganism and stuff like that is going on. Joseph is being a light, okay? But the only way he got there was because he was oppressed. Now, was it necessary? No, it wasn't. It was not necessary. But that's what has happened to Joseph at this point. And so he is going to now encounter a moment in where he is going to have a moment to reflect after everything he has gone through. Okay? So let's read. Now Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt. And Jacob said to his sons, Why are you staring at one another? He said, Behold, I have heard that there is a grain in Egypt. So go down there and buy some for us from that place, so that we may live and not die. Then the 10 brothers of Joseph went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he said, I'm afraid that harm may befall him. So the sons of Israel came to buy grain among those who were coming for the famine, and was in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the ruler over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he disguised himself to them and spoke to them harshly. And he said to them, Where have you come from? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. But Joseph had recognized his brothers, although they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered the dreams which he had about, and said to them, You are spies, you have come to look at undefended parts of our land. Then they said to him, No, my lord, but your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants are not spies. So now Joseph is being confronted by this moment in where he's been doing the right thing. He's been going through this struggle, this emotional turmoil, this constant betrayal and tests. And now his gift, his obedience, his consistency has put him in a position of power. And his dreams are having meaning. And he has accepted a revelation, if you might say, when he is in power. He sees his brothers bow down to him, and it was in a way of reverence because of his position that they had put him in. Okay, it wasn't that he overpowered them. the dream that he had in the beginning of his story was that he was going to be betrayed and that God was going to exalt him. But right now, he is being tested. But the beauty of the story is that Joseph is betrayed and sold because he had a belief of doing justice and righteousness, right? His demeanor of doing the right thing. He had a gift, the gift that God gave him, the ability to give God's message. And he was willing to do this, right? And he kept living according to that which was passed down to him by his fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so he's in a moment of power in a place where chaos overrules. And the interesting thing about Joseph to this point, before he sees his brothers, is that he has been focusing on doing what was right and what was correct and what was just. And because of that, he was able to succeed, and God was with him. That's what the text says. And so he is going to be confronted. We're not going to keep reading. I'm going to hold you up there. I'll give you guys the homework to keep reading the next chapters. But we're going to go to Romans 10 and we're going to close out real quick, okay? So, Romans 10. Paul is talking about those that are believers in the Torah and that are trying to teach the Torah and apply the Torah and implement the Torah. And so he is talking and he's directing this message to the audience. So he says, "Brethren, my heart desires and my prayer to God for them is for their salvation. For I testify about them that they have a zeal for God, but not according with knowledge, for not knowing about God's righteousness and seeking to establish their own. They did not subject themselves to the righteousness of God, for Messiah is the end of the law." And it's interesting because, you know, you might stop here and go, the end of the law, Jesus is the end, so it's over. No, but when we go to the end, right, we see this word real quick. We're going to get geeky, guys. We're going to get geeky. So it says here, right, these are all the different outcomes or parts in the Bible where it's used and what it means. So the most common, it ends, right? Ends. And so it's interesting, right? Definitions are come to pass, performance, consummation, fulfillment, execution, which is very interesting, result, coming to pass, right? But when you go to the Hebrew, right, the most common use besides splendor, duration, tribute, the most common word that is used for this Greek word is this one right here, naza, right? Inspect, perpetual, enduring, right? And complete, finish, accomplished, complete, perfect, finish, perfect, mature, right? And so the text, it says, for Messiah is the fulfillment or the enduring of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. For Moses writes that the man who practices the righteousness, which is based on the law, shall live by the righteousness. But the righteousness that is based on faith speaks as follows. Do not say in your heart, who will ascend into heaven, that is to bring down Messiah, or who will descend into abyss, that is to bring down Messiah from the dead, or who will descend into. But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we are preaching, that if you confess that with your mouth that Yeshua is Lord, and believe in your heart that Elohim Yod-Heh-Vav raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart a person believes, resulting in righteousness, and with the mouth he confesses, for resulting in salvation. For Scripture says, whoever believes in him will not be disappointed. For there is no distinction between Jew or Greek. For the same the Lord is the Lord of all, abounding in riches for all who called on him. For whoever will call on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? Who will they believe in him who they have not heard? And how will they hear without a preacher? who will they preach unless they are sent? Just as it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news and good tithing. So I've read this, I think, a couple verses a couple times before, and the message for Joseph, or the story of Joseph right now, is interesting because it's telling you that you, as a young man, young woman, your faith right now sometimes might seem weird. I always say it to my youth, and I say it to them. It's like, you might be the weird person, the odd person in the room, and in certain aspects, the way that you might think of things because of your faith might put you in a position of outcast, or your opinion might not matter. But there will come a time, just like in Joseph's time, that Pharaoh and his magicians could not interpret God's message. But Joseph, because he was consistent in obedience to God, even in the moments of turmoil and betrayal and hate and rejection, he kept being consistent. And in the moment of chaos where the whole world had no answers, God found this man that was consistent, and through this man he brought salvation, which was through Joseph. The same thing he did with his son Joshua, and he is looking to do the same thing with us. And so if we're stuck in the bubble of the world and what they want us to do, then we'll be distracted and we'll miss the point. But if we're consistent and we're able to live to our faith, and we can shine our light like we're taught in this time of Hanukkah, then we could be chosen to bring light to someone or so many other people. Your testimony is key. Your fruits are key. Joseph's fruits, his consistency, that gift that God had given him after he had gone through fire, God used that gift to put him second in command. So I urge you, Yeshua, our Messiah, is the key, but obedience to his Father is the whole purpose to this message. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great week. I didn't wear a hat today. Have a great week. Shavua Tov. And Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.